Hi, this is Rudy from Catholic Drive Time, and welcome to our new segment that I'm affectionately calling The Memory Hole. It's a segment dedicated to recall the top 5 most pertinent news stories of the week, lest we forget. Pretty simple, right? Well, let's jump into the recesses of the mind. At number 5, true or false? Trump colluded with Russia. Do you remember the Steele dossier? It was meant to be a bombshell October surprise. Here's an update to that story. The headline's from the Daily Wire, and it reads, Jury clears former Clinton attorney Michael Sussman of lying to the FBI. Durham alleged in Sussman's charging documents that the cybersecurity attorney intentionally misrepresented himself to gain an audience with Baker. Baker was an FBI lawyer. Sussman then told him that he was coming to the Bureau as a good citizen, when in reality, Sussman was passing shaky opposition research on behalf of the Clinton campaign. As many as 3 donors to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton sat on the jury, including one who also donated to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But pay no attention to that. That's not why he got off scot-free. At number 4, this one's from Breitbart, and it reads, UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet praises China, claims it has dismantled concentration camps. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet praised China's tremendous achievements in human rights this weekend and claimed that the Communist Party has dismantled all of its concentration camps in the Uyghur region of East Turkestan, concluding her visit to the region. Bachelet also notably admitted any knowledge of the Xinjiang police files, a massive document dump featuring thousands of mugshots of concentration camp victims, photos of police training exercises, sensitive law enforcement documents, and speeches in which high-level officials instructed police to break the lineages of the people of East Turkestan. The Xinjiang police files debuted last week while Bachelet was in China. And at number 3, the Epoch Times reports, Biden says he won't be able to bring down gas or food prices in the near term. Last week, Biden's top economic advisor Brian Deese played down the risk of a recession, despite growing warnings that banks and economists say is coming in the next 12 to 24 months. The idea that we're going to be able to, click a switch and bring down the cost of gasoline is not likely in the near term, nor is it in regard to food, Biden told reporters at the White House on June 1st. He cited the war in Ukraine that has trapped the country's wheat exports as an external cause for inflation. And it may be too late, but you could have flipped the switches earlier on before there was a crisis. Story number 2, National Catholic Register reports analysis. Catholic Church attacks multiply following Supreme Court leak. According to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, which tracks arson, vandalism, and other destruction occurring at U.S. Catholic churches, have said that there have been at least 134 incidents across 35 states and Washington, D.C. Now, this is very alarming because what followed the leak was an organization called Ruth Sent Us said that they were going to go and attack churches, they're going to do demonstrations, they were going to burn the Eucharist. And what have we seen ever since that happened? We've seen all of these attacks all across the United States. We've seen tabernacles stolen, most recently one in Brooklyn, where a very ornate tabernacle worth almost $2 million, that price is not important. What is important is that these are attacks on the Catholic Church. And what do we see in most of the headlines? We see that most of these attacks are not even considered hate crimes, when in fact they are. They are attacks on the Catholic Church, but most importantly, they are attacks on God. And another point, this tabernacle that was stolen out of Brooklyn recently, it was created by the people who attended this church. They brought all of their fruits. Many of them scrounged up together what they could give for the greater glory of God to decorate the church, to build this amazing tabernacle. The jewels that encrusted this beautiful tabernacle, they were donated by families. I've talked about this on my particular podcast, the Glatrad podcast, and we had a conversation with one of our guests who was telling us about how people back in the day, they would scrounge up all that they could to build a church for the greater glory of God. And this is what we are losing. We are losing the splendor. We're losing the beautiful sacredness that people of the past created for these churches. But most importantly, again, it's an attack on God. This is a hate crime, and it must be labeled as such. Okay, you've made it to the last part of the news segments, but before we do that, before I give you the last one, which is number one, I just want to say thank you very much for watching up until this point, and please consider liking this video, subscribing to Catholic Drive Time, and sharing it with a friend. It really helps us grow our audience, and we really want to reach more people. We want to keep people informed and inspired. Okay, headline number one, Just the News reports, Supreme Court clerks are asked for their phone records as draft leak opinion investigation ramps up. Some clerks are so alarmed over the new request that they have begun pondering hiring their own outside counsel. The move by the court is unprecedented and the most significant publicly reported development made thus far in the investigation into who provided Politico with a draft opinion that was published on the night of May 2nd. The continued probing of the clerks suggests that the court has as of yet been unsuccessful in its effort to determine the identity of the leaker. Well, that's going to wrap us up this week and all of our picks for the most pertinent headlines. Tune in next Friday at noon for your next weekly update on news that you should remember. God bless you and Mary keep you. See you next time.